Oh, let's check this out, man.
I've just come back from a hands-on with all the new Google phones, the Pixel 11, 11 Pro, 11 Pro XL, and the 11 Pro Fold. And I think phones, the Pixel 11, 11 Pro,
All of them, the camera, so ugly, bro.
11 Pro XL, and
Doesn't
the 11
look
Pro
like a
Fold.
phone,
And I
bro.
think this is the first time that we're really feeling the impact of the current AI memory crisis on the smartphone. Because components are getting more expensive, I can't actually remember a launch event with as few hardware improvements as this, with a couple of things even regressing. But at the same time, software has no such limitation. And so Google's cranking this lever harder than ever to try and make up for it. There were at least 3 things I'm going to show you here that I would say blew me away. But then, if it is all software, do you actually need to buy the new Pixels? So with the base Pixel 11, for example, when you strip
Who's buying this? Nah, this one looks beautiful at all, bro.
away all the marketing fluff, there are 4 changes to the phone itself. Wireless charging is faster. They bumped it up to the latest 25-watt standard, which is great because this is still the only mainstream Android phone with magnets to actually make the most of that. The main camera sensor is 56% larger, which is definitely not a number to be sniffed at. But just bear in mind that this is being improved from a very low base.
You see, what that I like about is the
Sniffed at.
the
But just
color.
bear in mind that this is being improved from
The color is so clean, but
a very low base.
like the
This takes the
colours.
Pixel 11 camera from very tiny to as large as the competition's. There's Google's next-gen chip inside, the Tensor G6, which, when I put it side by side with the last one, I could tell does make the phone a little snappier at opening apps and general browsing, and it comes with a very decent 50% improvement to AI capability. And then finally, the new phone looks nicer. The camera bar is now all glass, just like it used to be right at the very beginning.
What?
But it does
No
is now
way.
all glass, just like it used
Before
to be.
this, nah, before this it was, bro. Before this it was this. Nah, this shit is so ugly.
Right at the very beginning.
Yo,
But it does also
nah,
now
it's so
protrude around
ugly, bro.
40% less, which just about takes it to that tipping point where when you have a case on, the bump almost entirely disappears. But that is basically it. The quoted battery life, same as last year, where in the real world, Pixel did not measure up very well versus Samsung and Apple. Every other camera sensor, same
Oh,
as
look, nah, you see, look how better the Samsung and the iPhone looks, man. That shit looks so cleaner compared to the Pixel, the Google Pixel, bro.
year. This new chip, while it is faster in some ways,
How do you call a phone a Pixel, my nigga? Pixel?
has
Nigga,
zero
Pixel?
quoted improvements to graphics. So given how far behind Google already was in this department, I would not be surprised if the company's flagship phones this year start getting outperformed by mid-rangers when it comes to gaming. And while you do get twice the storage this time at 256 gigabytes, you're also paying more for it, with the new phone starting at $899 up from $799. Then we've got the new Pro phones, the 11 Pro and 11 Pro XL, which are a pretty similar level of frustratingly subtle hardware improvement, but then with one additional, unusual caveat on top of that. I gotta say, when the company were whittling through the press briefing for these Pros, they really made it feel like everything's better now. They were like, oh, the wireless charging is up to 29% faster. The wired charging is faster. There's this next generation Tensor chip. You get a brighter display up to 3,600 nits, as well as 2 times the scratch resistance on it. There's an upgraded main camera and telephoto camera. That sounds promising. And then next to them, an entirely new feature called Highlight. 8 LEDs in a ring that help you interact with your AI while your phone is face down and your mind is present in the moment. Well, that seems like a pretty eventful set of changes, right? But then we take a closer look. Like the wireless charging, it is faster, but that 29% figure only applies to the smaller Pixel 11 Pro. The XL figure, hidden in the small print, is actually just 17%. The wired charging, again, is faster, but only very slightly faster on the XL. We're talking 75% in 30 minutes compared to last year, which was 70% in 30 minutes. And then on the smaller phone, it hasn't improved at all. The display brightness figure of 3,600 nits is absolutely on the brighter end. But considering that last year's phones were already capable of 3,300 nits, I couldn't tell the difference in person. The new telephoto camera that they've added does look pretty solid, with a 30% larger sensor. But then the new
But on the front, I like the way it looks though. It looks so clean.
The camera actually
The
looks
back.
identical in terms of resolution and sensor
Oh,
size to what we had, so really it's just a refresh. And this highlight feature, it's definitely snazzy implementation. The LEDs are super bright and there's enough of them to make for some pretty slick animations. But it's just, we've seen this idea before in multiple different form factors for the best part of a decade now, and Google's implementation of it still doesn't do anything new. Currently, the only two things it does are light up with one of 5 different colors, depending on which of your favorite contacts is calling, and then glow when you're talking to Gemini, with one pattern when it's listening, one when it's thinking, and then one when it's responding. But I don't know, man, you think you'd already know when it's responding. Really, it's the functionality of a notification LED, just in a fancier package. So fine, the new hardware is already looking a little less exciting, right? Then you realize that to get this highlight in there, Google has also had to silently, by the way, cut the body temperature sensor that you previously had, that you could use to check if you were getting a fever, and that to add the few things that
Oh, you can see that? No, that's a
they have
great.
added, just like the base
Great
pixels,
idea.
the pros are getting the same $100 price hike, slash stopped selling the lower storage model thing. So these phones are now $1,099 and $1,299. Oh yeah, and there's actually less
Can buy a Samsung or an iPhone, bro, instead of this, man.
RAM than
Come
before.
on, man.
The only way I even clocked that was by noticing that the language had subtly changed from starting at 16 gigabytes of RAM last year to up to 16 gigabytes of RAM this year. So the pros will actually start with 12 this time, which it's not a disaster. It's a pretty common amount of RAM for a high-end phone to come with. And in my quick testing, I couldn't find any specific performance issues that have come from this. And yes, bear in mind, there's a hardware crisis right now, and I don't think Google will be the only company to raise prices and find ways to cut back. I've got a full video all about this. But the thing that's peeved me off here is just...
Bro, I react to that video, bro, and when I uploaded it, and I see my mic wasn't on, bro. I was pissed, bro.
How much
I had to
obfuscation
delete the
there was
video.
in Google's press briefing, trying to make things seem like improvements when they're not really, and also how many of the important clarifications were buried in the small print or entirely glossed over. Now, just before some of the rather spectacular software highlights that they're hoping are going to make up for all this, there's one more phone, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold, which, again, is fairly light on buffs. It's got that faster wireless charging and the new chip. It's got the same new camera as the base Pixel 11 with 56%
Like you could. This is better than this, man. This also don't look that good, but it's better than this.
more light, plus the little highlight LED from the Pro phones. The camera itself has also got a new design, but I can't lie, this is still a pretty clapped-looking phone in my books. Not helped by these
Yeah.
corners that don't at all match the radius.
That shit is so
And
ass.
then brighter displays inside and out, up to the same 3600 nits that the Pros have, with both screens being tougher to scratch. There are a few extra changes that are unique to the Fold, like the thinner bezels on the front. These are great, to be honest, pretty noticeable and much needed. Plus the new guy is 1mm thinner
Samsung
when
has
folded
it
up,
too.
almost 10% lighter, with a back panel that they're saying is made of a new composite that is nearly impossible to crack. Now that all sounds very innovative and next
Yeah.
generation, but thinner, lighter, and harder to crack are also exactly what you would expect to happen when you swap out premium glass for a material that's based on a polymer or plastic. And this might also be easier to scratch as a result. And of course, the Fold has also had the same $100 price increase as the rest of the phones. But here, without even the consolation of any
That's almost that. Nah, that's literally a PC money, bro.
extra storage. You got 256 gigs last time, you get the same amount again. You just pay more now. So here's the question then. Clearly, Google's hardware is running on fumes. But does it matter when the company's waving its magic software wand around as aggressively as they are here? Because with cameras, for example, there's actually a pretty large improvement this generation to video quality. The way these new phones are processing what you shoot, to my eyes, feels clearly sharper, with more accurate skin tones, and also lower noise in darker areas. And you can feel that even on the cameras that haven't actually physically changed at all. When you're shooting night sight photos, Google's figured out how to capture the same quality shot, but now just using 1/3 of the light information on the new Pro phones. So you'll see, side by side, the Pixel 11's night shots are so quick that it almost looks just like capturing regular daytime photos. And even without any improvement to optical image stabilization, Google's Video Boost. You know that feature where after you've taken a clip, it gets uploaded to the cloud and enhanced? Well, this will now further iron out stabilization issues, addressing yet more hardware problems with software solutions. So when you factor in this side of the equation, this does start to feel like a noticeable improvement on the camera front. But where my jaw truly left the chat was when I started to play around with Rambler, because this is the smartest form of dictation that I have ever experienced.
I'm thinking of naming my child after a Pokemon. Can't really decide which one. Ooh, maybe Pikachu. Actually, no, that's not Pikachu. Let's do Charmander. Maybe just Char, actually. Yeah, Char's good. Okay, forget everything I
Nah, you gotta be joking.
said before that. I'm naming my child Char.
Because naming a child after anime character.
And then what I meant to say just pops in like that. Forgotten emoji? It'll fill that in too. I think this feature is crazy good. And because it's baked into the keyboard, you can use it in any app. And there's a whole bunch of things like it as part of Gemini Intelligence that some other Android phones will eventually get, but Google will get first. Like live dubbing. So we pulled up some German YouTube video. The phone then auto-detects that the content is another language, and then after a few seconds just starts dubbing it for you.
Something has it too.
Really good. Really good. It must have been pretty exhausting for the actors, but from the effects here, from the physical effects here, absolutely carless.
I'm yet to hear an AI dub that's as well matched to the original as this was. Now, Google did cherry-pick the example videos to show this on, and it only supports 4 languages right now, but I still think it's insane. Just for some context, every single video that we upload right now, we are paying around $2,000 to get that video dubbed by humans in 3 languages. This tech could very well in a few years be getting videos dubbed in just as high quality for every single language for free. And while I would personally rather carry on paying for humans for as long as that makes sense, this could be massive for smaller channels who are not going to be able to afford those kinds of fees. That is, until one day Google does eventually start charging us for it. I wouldn't rule that out. Also, bear in mind that with all of these Gemini Intelligence features, they won't...
So some point they want to have more money, so it's gonna come to some point, but
be available in Europe at launch, which is undeniably upsetting. But the guys seemed pretty confident that we won't be waiting long. Then there's a few final pixel nuggets that will be available at launch, regardless of Gemini Intelligence, like Magic Capture, where let's say you're in a moment that you really want to experience. The idea is you hit record, you don't worry about framing your shot, and your phone will just find the best moments from the clip you end up taking, like when people look into the camera. And it'll just compile those moments as a bunch of stills. We've actually seen something just like this from Samsung like 5 years ago with their single take mode. This is better than that. They can do a lot of face unblurring in the process, so the end shots are really crisp.
Taking shot as
For me personally, I think I'd rather just either take a few really purposeful shots that I love, or just disconnect entirely and not have my phone out at all. All the phones this year have larger digital zoom ranges. Pixel 11 and Fold have gone from 20x to 30x max zoom, although the shots don't look great that far in. And the Pros have gone from 100 to 120x, assisted partly by the new telephoto camera, but also largely by AI. There's Camera Looks, which is basically the same thing as Apple's photographic styles. It lets you tune the shadows and color temperature that your camera shoots with by default. And Creator Suite, which gives you an on-screen teleprompter that scrolls as you talk, an audio visualizer to make sure that you're not being too loud, and social media layouts on your screen, so you know which parts of it are going to be covered by UI when your video eventually ends up on, say, Instagram. Our editors use bounding layouts just like this all the time to make sure that things don't get cut off on some devices. So baking them into the shooting process is a no-brainer. Also, genuinely incredible feature on the new Pixel watches too. You can just ask AI for an entirely new watch face, and they generate it on the spot. Safe to say I was very happy with my fluffy dinosaur face. So all in all...
Oh, come on, that's so lazy, man.
Here's what I think. I think that now the top-end Pixel is the exact same price as the Samsung S26 Ultra. If you're deciding between the two, I think you're getting a lot more phone by going Samsung. Their device is far more powerful, it's got a better screen, better battery, and an S Pen. But if you really want a Pixel, which does have merit like the ultra-clean software and early access to these incredible features, then there's never been a better time to get the last one. The fact that prices have gone up this time, paired with the fact that older pixels lose their value particularly quickly, means that just last year's flagship is at least a third cheaper. And then the fact that the hardware has barely improved, and if anything the RAM has gone backwards, means that you're not even really going to be much less future-proofed, and you probably won't notice a performance difference either. All finished off by the fact that most improvements this time around are coming via software and internet-based AI tricks, meaning that you're going to get at least some of those perks just as trickle down. But just bear in mind, the more that your phone relies on pinging things to the cloud, which if anything is only going to start to go up, the more that you'll want to think about making your actual connection secure, which is why the one app that I would genuinely install on day one is Surfshark VPN.
I know it.
To Japan, or creating an alternate
bro, okay, I donate and if you guys like the reaction, make sure you guys like and subscribe though. Nah, but the Pixel, nah, bro, it's some ass, bro. The camera doesn't look that great, bro. Come on, man. Go buy a Samsung instead, bro.